One of the world's densest groups of volcanoes is hidden beneath the enormous Antarctic ice sheet. In addition to the 47 already known volcanoes, 91 more volcanoes were found as a result of a recent investigation. The propensity of these volcanoes to cause widespread melting and disintegration of Antarctica's ice sheets in the event of an eruption is what scientists find alarming. The study was carried out by a team of geologists from the University of Edinburgh, and it was just published in a special edition of the Geological Society of London. Utilizing a variety of analysis approaches, the volcanoes were discovered to be clustered along the axis of the West Antarctic Rift System. These include broad knowledge of Antarctica's rift system, radar that penetrated the ice to reveal indications as to what is beneath the ice, and satellite measurements for tiny changes in ice morphology. The volcanoes are all buried in up to 4 kilometers of ice, and their heights range from 100 meters to 3,850 meters, 12,600 feet. The Ross Ice Shelf to the Antarctic Peninsula, which is now known to be one of the world's most volcanic regions, is separated by the 3,500 kilometers long Antarctic Rift System. One volcano per 4,800 square miles also roughly sums up the density of volcanoes. There would be 11 active volcanoes simply within the state of New York if volcanoes were distributed similarly there. The lack of considerable evidence of glacial erosion and the volcano's continued conical shape allow scientists to determine that the volcanic range is very new. Geologists haven't yet been able to determine how active these volcanoes are, though. Mount Erebus, an active volcano, is the planet's most southern active volcano. The possibility that these volcanoes could contribute to additional melting and instability of the Antarctic ice sheet worries experts. The recent melting of the Antarctic ice sheet does not seem to be caused by any of the volcanoes, but as time passes, there may be a greater chance of the volcanoes becoming active. This is due to the fact that the ice covering these active volcanoes probably acts to restrain pressures that are building up inside them. If a volcano has a magma chamber that is under pressure, melting ice will ease that pressure and allow the volcano to erupt more easily. This may result in a positive feedback loop whereby increased volcanic activity raises the rate of melting of the ice sheets, which in turn raises the rate of melting. In this situation, ice melt rates may reach a tipping point where they quickly rise above their previous levels. As the ice continues to melt and volcanism rises, we can compare this to the condition that has already developed in Iceland. To comprehend how rift systems grow through time, we can make use of examples like the East African Rift. More eruptions from Antarctica's volcanic system are probably to come, similar to the rifts found all across the planet where the Earth is rupturing and allowing magma to reach the surface. On the other hand, as the glaciers travel toward the ocean, the volcanoes serve as pinning points. They probably function to keep the glacier in place and prevent it from easily flowing into the sea. In the decades and millennia to come, both are probably contributing elements and will still have an impact on the melting of Antarctica's ice. But what would happen if Antarctica's dormant volcanoes awakened? Do you understand what happens when a volcano erupts? Before the actual action starts, there are usually some warning indicators, such as earthquake waves. They show that molten rock is moving beneath the surface. Then heated gases are combined with lava and ash. Lava typically moves at a speed of 6 miles per hour, though this varies depending on the situation and the type of lava involved. Quite slow to outrun. A volcano, however, spews out hot gases and ash during a significant eruption. A pyroclastic cloud is what they produce when they combine. These creatures may move at a speed of 80 kilometers per hour, 50 miles per hour, and are extremely hot, reaching temperatures of up to 700 degrees Celsius, 1,300 degrees Fahrenheit. It would be the end of your days if you were caught in one of these traps. The volcanoes of Antarctica, however, are another matter. In some locations, the layers of ice covering them are over 4 kilometers, 2.5 miles thick. At least in relation to one eruption, we wouldn't be dealing with volcanic gases rising to the surface. Massive ice caverns would be melted by the heat produced, producing a substantial amount of meltwater. And at that point, things would start to become horrible. The ice above it would flow faster due to the newly generated meltwater. The ice cap over Antarctica would start to move toward the sea. The cascading effect would start after that. Volcanoes are kept stable by the immense pressure that the ice's massive weight applies to them. Reduce that pressure, though, and a volcano becomes limbered up, and magma eventually manages to escape in an eruption. Multiple volcanic explosions in the case of Antarctica might awaken more than 100 other volcanoes and destabilize the entire continent. More meltwater would be produced as the volcanoes continued to blast off their tops, which would further increase the amount of Antarctic ice that slipped into the ocean. Ocean currents that are warmer would encircle Antarctic ice. On the one hand, we would gain fresh insight into the bedrock of the Antarctic that has been hidden by the ice for so long. The ice, on the other hand, wouldn't vanish into thin air. It would dissolve. Furthermore, if all of Antarctica's ice melted, the world sea level would rise by around 60 meters to 100 feet. Major storms may move more slowly and dump more rain as a result of rising sea levels. On the surface of the Earth, hurricanes and typhoons would cause catastrophic disasters. It would result in the habitat loss of coastal wildlife and the salt contamination of agricultural soil. Millions of people would be driven inland by severe flooding. We would be looking at thousands of fatalities and storms destroying anything that was afloat in the oceans if the eruptions occurred over the course of one day. So let's return for a moment to Antarctica. What will happen to the raging magma now that the ice has completely melted? The good news is that it wouldn't turn Earth into a world covered in lava. The eruptions would take place underwater. After all, in the icy waters of the Antarctic Ocean, the hot magma would solidify and maybe contribute extra space to the bedrock of Antarctica. But that's not where things stop. On land, heated gases such as carbon monoxide, methane, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen are released during volcanic eruptions. There is typically some water vapor added to the mix to go along with this. Some estimates place the annual CO2 emissions from volcanoes at 645 million tons. Large areas of ice would be blown open by the eruptions of the Antarctic volcanoes if they proved to be powerful enough, permitting the release of much more harmful greenhouse gases. A hole in the ozone layer was eaten by chemicals that were released during the eruption of Mount Takahe, one of Antarctica's surface volcanoes, some 18,000 years ago. The southern hemisphere was warmed by that hole, which led to the melting of glaciers. It contributed to the Ice Age's end. Now picture 100 volcanoes all exploding at once. That cannot be beneficial for the environment. At ease, though, volcanoes in Antarctica won't erupt simultaneously. Even if they do begin to awaken, significant change wouldn't occur for decades. And so, while melting is a recognized side effect of Antarctica's known volcanism, experts agree that there is no connection between volcanic activity and the current loss of ice mass in Antarctica. At least 30 million years have passed since the Antarctic ice sheet formed, and the region has experienced extensive volcanism. On the ice sheet's ongoing melting, it isn't making any new changes. And that ends today's video. Please subscribe to Weather Collapse if you want to know more and be updated on the latest news about natural calamities or disasters happening all over the world. And don't forget to like today's video. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.